What's going on, you guys? Mr. Allen here with a little bit of linear regression. We're talking correlation coefficients in this bad boy right now. We want to match the correlation coefficient to the most appropriate graph that we have here, right? There's no scaling or anything like that. We are just going straight off of what it looks like here in our four choices that we have here for our R values. All right, now a couple things to remember about correlation coefficients. The closer to positive one or negative one, the stronger the correlation. The more tightly packed you're going to see those points around a line. If we were to draw a line through those points, that best fits it, okay? Now, the closer that number is to 0, the less tightly packed those points are going to be, less of a correlation you're going to see, or less of a trend, if you will, that you are going to see, okay? And the positives and negatives apply just like slopes, all right? Cool, dope, awesome, fantastic, yes, okay. But just because say something's close to 1 does not mean the slope is necessarily close to 1. It's more about how closely packed they are. It can be kind of horizontal, but a low slope, and be really tightly packed and be very close to an R equals 1 value, okay? So we'll continue going over that a little bit more. All right, so when I look at these here, the most tightly packed one that we have is this guy right here. So that's going to be our closest one, that's our closest value to 1 or negative 1, depending on which way it's sloped. If these points were going down and packed this way, it'd be close to negative 1. Since these are going up, it's going to be close to positive 1. That's going to be our 0.87 right there. So R equals 0.87 would be our best pick for that particular one, right? If it was in a perfect string, then it'd be R equals 1. So you're never really going to get that out in the wild, if you will. But you can get pretty close. Okay. Next one here. Let's see here. This guy looks like it's kind of sloping negative, so that's a good one to pick out right there. We only have one of them that's negative, right? So this has got to be the R equals negative 0.6. Notice, though, without the positive or negative value, right, the 0.6, it's not that close, so it's kind of in the middle between 0 and 1. And you can see there's like a bit of a trend going down there. And you can kind of see that, oh, maybe I could put like a line here, but really those points aren't that closely packed, which is why that value is further away from 1 than, say, this one is right here, okay? And then let's see here, the 0.65. Okay, my eyes are drawn to that one now because that's like the flip of this one, right? Was negative, this is positive. And if I look at this guy right here, our points are a little bit closer than this one was to that line of best fit that I just kind of guessed, right? And it's going upwards, so it's going to be a positive R value. So R equals 0.65. And then our last one here, where there's really just nothing going on here, right? R equals 0. It might be like R equals 0.05 or something like that. It's not going to be necessarily 0 right on the nose, but for our purposes, really close to 0 or 0. They're just scattered everywhere. There's really no trend. I have no idea what the hell is going on. Oh, God damn it. And for our last one here, obviously our pick is going to be R equals 0. So let's jot that down. Now in real life, we're not going to necessarily get exactly 0 for our correlation coefficient, just like we're not going to get exactly 1 in the wild. But it's going to be really close. It could even be like 0.00001. So for all intents and purposes, I don't know what that saying is. It's going to be 0, right? So there's no real pattern here. We can't see what the heck's going on with this thing. It's just kind of all over the place. Cool? All right, so big points here, right? If it's sloping upwards and actually seems to follow some kind of a line like some of these did, right? Then I know it's going to be a positive R value. And the closer they are packed around a line of best fit or a perceived line of best fit, the closer that value will be to 1. And if they are sloping downwards like we have on this one here, it's going to be a negative R value. And then the closer they're packed to that line of best fit, the closer it'll be to 1. Negative 1. And then the further apart they are, the closer it's going to be to 0. Okay? That's the name of the game with correlation coefficients. Maybe a little more in-depth than we needed right now. But hey, man, who doesn't love talking a little CC action, correlation coefficient, not emails? All right, see you dogs later.